Imara Jones is the founder of TransLash Media. She joins me now. Imara, it's so nice to see you. I'm grateful to be able to talk to you about this tonight. So
great to see you, Antonia.
Thank you. Let's begin with what's happened over the course of the past year. How has daily life changed for LGBTQ people in the U.S.?
It's hard to put into words the impact on people when your very existence comes under attack. Your ability to be able to remain safe on your job and to believe that if you've been discriminated against, that you can find proper recourse. The ability to be able to get health care in a way that we know helps people live longer lives. The ability to be able to get access to basic documents that we need in America in order to be able to navigate public life and public spaces, the ability to be safe in schools, the ability to be able to serve in the military without being thrown out unceremoniously and in ways that are just downright dehumanizing. It's really hard to underestimate the impact on people, and we see that it's had a dramatic impact in terms of people's mental health. We know that calls to suicide hotlines for trans people in particular have gone up. People are figuring out whether or not they are safe in their states or whether or not they need to leave the country altogether. So the range of choices is incredible. And, you know, I wish this was just about a culture war. If it was a culture war, it could be dealt with culturally. But the way that people are experiencing this and the decisions that it's making people make are really life and death at this point.
This new report is really striking. They found a year-over-year increase in incidents targeting transgender and gender nonconforming people, but also people who serve in state and local governments who may not be LGBTQ, but just simply support them, educators, librarians. And then they also found a decrease in the attacks on drag performers who just a few years ago were at the center of the culture war, at the center of state-level attacks and new legislation. I'm curious what that tells you about the way that rhetoric shifts targets, and how communities have taken action to protect themselves over the course of the last few years as they've seen this movement build and build.
Well, we know that conversation creates permission structures, and we know that permission structures lead to action. It's one of the reasons why, as journalists, for example, you and I can't say certain things because we know that it has an impact and that those things shift the environment, that allow people to believe that they can get away with things that if we weren't encouraging them through our words, they wouldn't be able to. So I think that you are seeing that. And I think that another thing that we have to realize is that one of the ways that this issue is being used is to acculturate Americans into authoritarian ways of being and in accustoming us to violence against each other in ways that are necessary to undermine democracy. Because a huge part of democracy is respect for other people with whom you have differences, right? And if you begin to undermine that so that people get used to believing that attacks on communities, attacks on people, attacks on members of the government from certain communities are legitimate, then you are changing the social arrangement in real time. And everywhere that that's been done, both in modern times and historically, it's always the gateway to be able to expand the way that authoritarianism takes hold in communities and in people's daily lives. And I think this is one of the things that we have to be really concerned about here.
How are people going to stay safe? It is now Pride, World Pride in Washington, D.C., of all places right now. What kinds of decisions are people realistically making at the moment?
Well, there's a tremendous conversation about people making individual safety plans, planning for various types of events that would not have been on the radar in a place like Washington before, coming up with rallying points, figuring out what to do if the internet goes down, figuring out what to do if you've been swept up in police violence, very similar to conversations that were happening, for example, around George Floyd demonstrations and Ferguson as well. And so that's now pretty standard in the community. It's also people are deciding whether or not they're going to go, and in America, for people to decide that they're not going to exercise their freedoms is really disturbing and sad.
Imara Jones, thank you so much for your work. I hope that you continue in this fight and you continue to speak out. It's great to see you.
Thank you so much.